Welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. We are back with another episode of Let's Talk About. We are continuing our series of doing a deep dive into every single NBA team before this upcoming season. This episode, we got the LA Lakers going into this season. It's going to be another interesting one. A lot of big changes in terms of the head coaching hire of JJ Redick. They had a really good draft in getting Dalton Knecht in the first round. I feel like Dalton Knecht could have been a top 10 pick in this draft easily with his skill set and his talent. Slides all the way to the Lakers. This is a great fit. But going into last season, how it ended, getting beat by the Denver Nuggets, a team that have kind of had their number in the past couple of seasons. I honestly think this Lakers team, if they didn't play Denver, is really matching up with a lot of the teams out west a lot better than they do Denver, and they still keep games a lot closer with Denver. They have a great series in terms of like not them being swept. Last year, it was still an entertaining series. Every single game was close, but I feel like they match up a lot better with all the other teams in the Western Conference, but they unfortunately just keep on matching up with the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. So looking at this, I think it's going to be a whole new look team for the Lakers going into this next season, and that's really due to JJ Redick. I think JJ Redick is going to give this team a whole different outlook and look offensively for sure, and I can kind of get right into that being the X factor. I think JJ Redick is definitely the X factor for this team. They have a lot of kind of the same roster back. You want to hope Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent are healthy. And you kind of have D'Angelo Russell, who I've seen in trade rumors, but hasn't been traded yet. I know he opted in. He has like $19 million on that contract, which could be flipped depending on what this season looks like for the LA Lakers. But the X factor has to be JJ Redick. I think with how similar this roster looks to last year, JJ Redick is really going to bring a different outlook to this team. You've already seen him kind of discuss the ability to want to get Anthony Davis more involved offensively and have him be kind of the hub offensively, which I agree with. The only thing that of this offseason that kind of, I guess, disappointed me in a way is when you look at Team USA and Anthony Davis minutes on the court with the Bam Adebayo, you see Anthony Davis defensively is still going to be great and good enough to guard all the power forwards in this league, and same with Bam. The switchability, I'm not saying you have the ability to go out and get somebody like of the caliber of a Bam Adebayo, but when you're looking at it in the realm of like why they still don't really have any backup big man presence that allows Anthony Davis to slide to the floor and get going more offensively compared to him just being the really only backline defender and no real backup big. They've experimented with like a Wendell Gabriel in the past and like a Jackson Hayes, but I feel like they've completely gone away from the formula that won them the bubble championship in the first place with having bigs alongside Anthony Davis that can take the pressure off him defensively so he can get his game going more also offensively. That's one of the things this offseason that they really haven't done, and I'm kind of scratching my head to why haven't they went out and got that done. I feel like they've kind of gone away from everything that won them the bubble championship, like I said. But that's another conversation for another day. Going into this season, I think the potential starting five is probably going to look like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Roy Hachimura, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, which is a good, talented, versatile starting five, especially offensively. I think if they play more through Anthony Davis, I think this team is going to have a very different outlook, especially because that's the comments that JJ Redick has provided the media with of getting Anthony Davis more so going offensively. But I do think a slight low-key X factor for this team is going to be Dalton Knecht as well. I think him paired up with a coaching style of a JJ Redick, he is really going to be able to come off that bench and be a scoring punch right away with his ability to score, shoot the ball, space, and just put the ball on the ground in general. I feel like he is super polished as a scorer, and pairing him up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis in certain situations in lineups, I think JJ Redick is going to know how to best get the most out of somebody like a Dalton Knecht running off screens, because I feel like you kind of see that similar play style, maybe not as much as a JJ Redick shooting-wise, but in terms of offensive spacing and creativity that JJ Redick can provide to help Dalton Knecht get downhill, get off pin downs and everything else like that, be the screener for some cases, being able to pick and pop and everything like that. I think JJ Redick is going to have this team looking like a whole different unit offensively, even with this kind of same roster that they've had last year. But going into this, the expectations, like I've already talked about JJ Redick being able to unlock this roster offensively, I think this team is still talented and good enough to be in the mix in the Western Conference. This Lakers team just has real slow starts. And when you're looking at some of the roster pieces that they picked up last year and somebody like a Gabe Vincent, who I still think is going to be a really good pickup for them if he can just stay healthy. He was hurt the basically entirety of last year, played a little bit towards the back half of the year, but I think him having a full offseason going into the season healthy is going to be a major upgrade at that backup guard spot, especially having somebody else off the bench that you could trust with the ball in his hands, that can space, that can defend at a pretty high level. And I think Gabe Vincent can do it both well on both ends. I feel like he's a great fit on this team. He's got to stay healthy. Another key piece to this team is Jared Vanderbilt, who was hurt all of last year, who is a very interesting piece because I feel like he is somebody that has the ability to kind of be out there with Anthony Davis and kind of provide you, I'm not saying provide you with the same level of impact of a Bam Adebayo, but somebody who can defend bigger positions, play out of his size, and be able to switch multiple positions. I feel like that matchup in the front court with an Anthony Davis could be deadly, and you have a bigger lineup where you put LeBron at the 1, Reeves at the 2, Hachimura at the 3, Vanderbilt at the 4, and Anthony Davis at the 5. Could be one of their best lineups defensively for sure, because I think Jared Vanderbilt and his ability to defend, the offense is still kind of gearing its way there. But with those kind of lineups and his kind of pairing with Anthony Davis in that front court could be very scary defensively for sure. But looking at this, I expect this team to still be in that kind of play-in mix, possibly a little bit above that play-in mix depending on injuries and how everything falls in the Western Conference. But I have to say, I still feel like this team is just missing a move. I can't really put my mind around it. I look at this team and I feel like there's still a lot to be desired. I don't know if it's like they have to move D'Angelo Russell or anything like that. They have a lot of good tradable contracts. And I like D'Angelo Russell's fit with this team. Towards the back half of the year, he was playing really, really well. And I just think after the trade deadline passed for him last year and he realized he wasn't going to be traded, because that was the big rumor last year around the deadline with D'Angelo Russell, he kind of really settled in and played a lot better towards that back half of the year. So, like, I don't really know what the pivot and move is. They do have a lot of tradable contracts, like I said, but what star out there? I feel like if they are at the move at the deadline, to where, like, even this offseason, I feel like they've kind of more prioritized depth and solid role players than that star guy. But then it's like, I feel like we're transitioning to the point now where everything is about fit in the NBA compared to just getting the big-time name, which you kind of saw, like, kill the Lakers in the past with getting somebody like Russell Westbrook and giving up the key glue guys that helped them get a ring in the bubble. So looking at this, I don't know what that missing piece is. Let me know in the comments. That kind of transitions me into the main question I have for this team. Can they find a trade to put them over the top? Can the Lakers find a suitor for maybe a D'Angelo Russell, their draft capital that they do have left, to go get a trade done that gets them over the top? Now, who that person is, I don't know. Let me in the comments. Let me know some ideas that you guys have on some certain trade acquisitions that the Lakers could do to possibly put them over the top. But I think it's going to be a very, very interesting season because of LeBron James' age. You have Team USA playing right now, so them going into the season with him and Anthony Davis, who have both had their injury concerns in the past, I wonder how that translates to the NBA season. But looking at that, I don't really know what I want to think of this LA Lakers team. I think they're kind of going to be in the same mix of what they were last year, because I do think they're still one move away in terms of what kind of the teams in the Western Conference are right now. Like, it's weird. Like, do you take the Lakers over a team like the Pelicans? Do you take the Lakers over a team like the Suns, or like even the Sacramento Kings, who added DeMar DeRozan this offseason? Like, they're in that mix of teams where I'm like, am I taking them over the Pelicans? I don't know. Am I taking them over the Suns? Possibly. But they're kind of in that weird mix of the middle tier of the Western Conference, where like they're kind of going to need one trade or one move to kind of help put them over the top of those teams, because I feel like there's all those teams that I kind of named are in that same kind of realm. You can add like the Clippers to that mix as well. You can add like a team like a Golden State Warriors to that mix as well. All those teams are kind of seeming like they're one move or one pivot away still from the top echelon of the Western Conference. But that's kind of all I had. And one of the main questions going over it, can they find a trade to put them over the top? I think that's going to be the consistent talk with the Lakers throughout the regular season. But that is all I have for this episode of Let's Talk About It. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Barrel Talk Podcast. Hope to see you tune in to future episodes.